The Radical. Fundamental principles of freedom, rational self-interest, and individual rights. This is the Yaron Brook Show.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Yaron Brook Show on this Thursday, September 4th. I hope everybody's having a great week. Yeah, it's Thursday. It's already the end of the week. Soon September will be over, and then what? All right, we've got a lot to talk about today, I think. I think there's just a lot of topics. It's late at night here, so we'll see how much we get through. There was an echo during the music, yeah. All right, I'll solve that next time. Let's jump in with I guess I didn't really prep this, but this is an important story that didn't come up on my news feeds and stuff, but so it's not listed on one of the topics to talk about, but it is worth noting. It looks like Paramount, the company Paramount, is buying Barry Weiss's Free Press for about $200 million. So congratulate to Barry Weiss. I mean, she basically went from an unemployed former New York Times writer and to worth $200 million for the media company she created. And this is a great example of being rewarded for the entrepreneurial spirit, the thought, the effort, the focus that went into creating this company. It's pretty stunning. Good, it's amazing. It's amazing. And she did this, 3 years now? She went from basically nothing to $200 million, to becoming a $200 million media mogul. She started Free Press in 2022, so 3 years. Supposedly she's in line for a senior editorial role at CBS News as part of the deal. And the whole thing is going to fold her Free Press into the new Paramount, into what's called the new Paramount. Hard to say exactly how this is all going to play out and what it's going to mean and how it's going to affect the Free Press. I mean, it's basically going to be part of mainstream media now. It's not going to be alternative media. It is of course shifted. It shifted quite a bit to the right in the last year or so, since Trump won the election. Let's see. Paramount, of course, has merged with Skydance Media and controls CBS and CBS News. Free Press is not part of the mainstream media. How does that affect the Free Press? How does that affect CBS? How does all this work out? I guess nobody is actually talking yet, and we don't really have much details in terms of what this all includes. But if you look at the content of Free Press and you look at the content on CBS News, you can see there's going to be some conflict there, right? I mean, Free Press has its own journalists, reporters out there, and on issues like Israel and many, many other issues, there's going to be real conflict between the two. It's going to be interesting. It could also mean, and this probably is what it means, that the mainstream media is repositioning itself and shifting to the right, given the changed world in which they find themselves, given Donald Trump, given the changed political environment. So, this should not surprise us that the mainstream media is going to start shifting away from its kind of standard left of center positioning in CBS, NBC, ABC. Hard to tell exactly what happens at CNN, but this is the reality. This is where the ratings are. This is where what the public is demanding, if you will. The Paramount Skydance merger that makes all this possible of course, was approved only after Paramount agreed to settle a lawsuit with Trump, who had sued CBS News under Paramount for something related to the Kamala Harris interview. So that lawsuit, the settling of that lawsuit, the writing a big check to Donald Trump, actually is what facilitated the merger and then this reorientation now of Paramount and all of its various media assets. Again, nobody's talking on the record yet about this, but it does seem that this is a reality. It is it is happening. The fact that the free press was built in 3 years and achieved as much as it has, and now it's sold for $200 million. Wow. I mean, you gotta respect Barry Weiss and Nellie Bowles and a bunch of other people at the Free Press who have done this. It's to their credit. Amazing business building, seeing a niche, filling that niche, doing the work, hiring the right people, putting out the right content, and getting it done. So while I have lots of disagreements about the content at the Free Press, it's been better than much of the mainstream media, at least it was before Trump. And in any case, I admire the entrepreneurial ability, skill, achievement that is reflected in this sale. So congratulations to Barry Weiss. All right, let's see. The National Conservatism Conference is happening now, the last few days, and that's going to give us a lot of content. This is good. It's going to give us a lot of content in terms of the speeches that are being presented there, the content that's being presented there. It'll tell us where this movement is heading and who its leaders are and what their thinking is and what their ideology is. The one thing you have to say about the National Conservatives is they tell you how they see it, at least to a large extent. It is, it's a conference in which a lot of the leading political figures on the right are going to be speaking and telling us what this is all about. And a theme that seems to be evolving, I mean, there are many themes, but one of the themes that seems to be evolving is this idea of what is America? And this is spinning off of J.D. Vance and really Josh Hawley, who have been talking about this for a while. America is not an idea. America is not a universal idea. America is a people. America is a nation. America is blood and soil to one extent or another. And a new senator, advocate for this vision of conservatism, of nationalism, dare I say, Christian nationalism, has now emerged, and that is Senator Schmidt. Senator Schmidt, who not, I think, accidentally, is from the same state as Senator Hawley, the senator who I first recognized as kind of the nationalist threat to this country, Josh Hawley. Well, Schmidt is from the same state, Missouri, as Hawley. He is the junior senator from. I haven't heard much about him. He hasn't made much noise. He is a junior senator, and he hasn't been engaged that much. But he has made his debut at the National Conservative Conference, and quite a debut it was. Quite a debut it was. Now we have two senators from Missouri to worry about, in addition to J.D. Vance and in addition to others who we will unveil during this conference, who will come and tell us what they think about the world during this conference. But I want to read you a little bit about some quotes from his talk, and the talk is interesting. It's very well done. It's very well written, and it's interesting. But it's got a lot of good stuff in it, right? Founding father stuff. It's got the meat and potato stuff, and it makes sense. They need to appeal to that, and maybe they even believe it. They need to appeal to the people who still value the Founding Fathers and still respect the Founding Fathers. But it is filled with this kind of nationalist rhetoric that is pretty scary. Let's see what I want to read. To you. It has a whole section about, as a bunch of different sections. Let me read. This. Where is it? His anti-immigration screed. All right. For decades, we heard that so-called high-skilled immigration was an urgent necessity. The H-1B visa, for example, was sold as a way to keep America globally competitive. Of course, we do have an interest in attracting the truly exceptional few, the very best and brightest in the world. But that's not how the programs like H-1B have actually functioned. Instead, they've imported, noted the word imported, we brought them in consciously. They've imported a vast new labor force from abroad, not to fill jobs Americans can't do or won't do, but to undercut American wages, replace American workers, and transfer entire industries into the hands of foreign bodies. Isn't that fascinating? And goes completely counter to the reality and facts on the ground in places like Silicon Valley. The fact that half of all successful venture-backed firms have at least one founder who is an immigrant, almost always on an H-1B visa. The fact that so many of our senior engineers and so many companies in the United States, tech companies that are leading the world, tech companies that are defining American industry today, that are defining and leading the American economy today, started out as H-1B visa holders. I mean, what does it mean attracting the truly exceptional few? Who gets to decide that? Who are exceptional? By what standard? So, government should decide that? Government should have a criteria for the exceptional few? Sounds pretty dangerous to me, letting government have that role. So we were told over and over again that MAGA and the new right and Trump are not against legal immigration. It's only the illegals. We hate illegals. We don't want illegals. It break the law. We don't want people who break the law in the country, but we love legal immigration. Well, no, they don't. They never wanted them. They don't want them. They cannot become American. They're not American. And this is the new right. This is national conservatism. This is the leading intellectual political movement within the right in America today. Many of them saner than MAGA, more dignified than MAGA, same ideas. He continues, we've funneled in millions of foreign nationals to take the jobs, salaries, and futures that should belong to our children. Not because the foreign workers are smarter or more talented, but merely because they are cheaper and more compliant, and therefore preferable in the eyes of too many business elites who often see their own countrymen as an inconvenience. I mean, this is a kind of mythology lying that is going to define the future of this country. This sets us up for the kind of racist authoritarians that are going to use this, funneled in millions of foreign nationals. Take jobs, unemployment is historical low. Take the salaries, Wages are up significantly over the last 15 years, in spite of all that immigration, legal and illegal. And take away the future of our children? Really? It's immigrants that are taking away the future of our children? I mean, this is disgusting, false, and, horrific. It continues, while our trade agreements kneecap blue-collar workers. No, they didn't. A slow-moving disaster, decade in the making. Abuse of the H-1B is kneecapping white-collar workers right before our eyes. Really? Really? If you look at the tech sector, again, it's leading the world. American workers are being kneecapped by H-1B. Maybe American workers are getting jobs because of H-1B visa holders, who then start companies, who then hire Americans. And by the way, many of those H-1B visa holders become Americans, and now are Americans. For the tens of thousands of Americans who were forced to train their foreign H-1B replacements just to get their severance package, the fact that it was legal is little comfort. See? The fact that it was legal is little comfort. For decades, the mainstream consensus on the left and the right alike seemed to be that America itself was an idea, a vehicle for global liberalism. We were told that the entire meaning of America boiled down to a few lines in a poem on the Statue of Liberty and 5 words about equality in the Declaration of Independence. Any other aspect of American identity was deemed to be illegitimate and immoral, poisoned by the evils of our ancestors. Now, it's true that the left has distorted the meaning of what America is, has perverted it. He brings up this example. In a speech in 1998, Bill Clinton said that the continuous influx of immigrants was, and I quote, a reminder that America is not so much a place as a promise. If you're going to criticize Bill Clinton or what he says, this is what you criticize? Isn't America a promise? Isn't it a shiny city on a hill? Now here's where he gives us a little bit of the founding fathers. Now let me just say, I believe that our founding fathers were the most brilliant group of men to ever assemble in one room. Their ideas are central to who we are. You can't understand America without understanding things like the freedom of speech, the right to self-defense, the ideas of independence, self-governance, and political liberty. Notice what's missing. Individual rights, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's missing. That all men are equal in that sense is missing. But of course, that would be hard. But he says, but these principles are not abstractions. They're not abstractions? Indeed, they are abstractions. He continues, they are living, breathing things, rooted in a people and embodied in a way of life. It's only in that context that they become real. Really? Yes, they become real by being embraced by people. Those ideas. And those ideas can be embraced by people of any color skin and any nationality. He says, if you imposed a carbon copy of the US Constitution in Kazakhstan tomorrow, Kazakhstan wouldn't magically become America, because Kazakhstan isn't filled with Americans. It's filled with Kazakhstanians. But what made America America? What made Americans Americans? Those principles and the particular experiences that America had. Would Kazakhstan be a much, much, much better place with those ideas? Yes. Could a Kazakhstani come to America and embrace those principles and live life here as an American? Yes. Do you, born in America, have you experienced the things that made America through your DNA, your blood, because your ancestors fought on some battle long ago? Are you now in America Because you've somehow, by osmosis, biological osmosis, received that American wisdom, that experience. I mean, this is such mystical BS. He says, if America was a universal proposition, then everything we inherited from our specific Western heritage had to be abolished. That's according to the left, he says. I just want to skip ahead here. Now he's talking about Donald Trump's movement. His movement is the revolt of the real American nation. Well, that's good to know. Did you know that? Donald Trump represents the real American nation. If you voted for anybody else, you are not part of that real American nation. Me, I'm an immigrant. A U.S. citizen, but an immigrant. And I didn't vote for Donald Trump. 3 times I didn't vote for him. I'm obviously not part of the real American nation. His movement is a revolt of the real American nation. It's a pitchfork revolution, that I agree with, driven by millions of Americans who felt that they were turned into strangers in their own country. By whom? By other people who people this geography. Call them the left. Many of them have ancestors who came across on the Mayflower. Many of them have ancestors who fought on the battlefields of the War of Independence and the Civil War and World War I and World War II. And so what makes them less real? Now, you can say that being American or Americanism is a set of ideas, and if you don't agree with those ideas, you're rejecting what it really means to be an American. That I hold. I believe that. In a sense, the left is not American. And I believe Schmidt is not really an American. In a sense of Americanism and what it represents and what it means. Individualism, individual rights, freedom, liberty. Very little talk about freedom and liberty in any of these speeches at the NatCon, at the National Conservative Conference. So the movement is a pitchfork revolution, right? They were the forgotten men and women who wrapped themselves in our flag and drove hours to hear a real estate tycoon from New York speak because they knew he was speaking for them. They were the Americans whose factories were gutted in the name of free trade. Really? Whose sons were sent to die in wars that served
1, 2.
You get sound now? 1, 2, 3. You get sound now? All right. When did the sound go off? Oh, God. All right. Sorry about that. Battery went out on the other mic. I'd used it. Didn't realize how long I was using it. I'd used it for a while. Don't need new mics. I just need to be more conscious of, need to be more aware of the mics. Sorry about that. And I was shouting. It was quite passionate. It was quite good. It was quite good. All right. Did you guys get the part about the Continental Army soldiers dying of frostbite? When did anybody remember when I cut out Continental soldiers? You got an echo now? Echo going now? 1, 2, 3, no echo. Paul says no echo. Equity says no echo. Okay. Equal to reality says no echo. What about when okay, so no to, nothing about frostbite. Okay. So this is what he writes about the history, American history. He writes, the Continental Army soldiers dying of frostbite at Valley Forge, the pilgrims struggling to survive in hard winter soil of Plymouth, the pioneers striking out from Missouri for the wild and dangerous frontier, the outnumbered Kentucky settlers repelled wave after wave of Indian war bands attacked from behind their stockade walls, all of them would be astonished to hear that they were only fighting for a proposition. But they were. They were fighting for freedom. They were fighting for property rights. They were fighting for their right to their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. They were fighting for that Declaration of Independence. Now, yeah, they were fighting for the concrete manifestations of that. They were fighting for their families, to preserve them, to keep them alive, to build a new home for themselves and their families and the people they cared for. But no, let's poo-poo the proposition. Let's poo-poo the reason they came to America, to make their lives better. And let's poo-poo the fact that they were all immigrants within a few generations, because everybody's an immigrant who came to America. I continue with what he says. They believed they were forging a nation, a homeland for themselves and their descendants. They fought, they bled, they struggled, they died for us. They built this country for us. Really? The sacrifice. America, in all its glory, is their gift to us, handed down across the generations. It belongs to us. It's our birthright, our heritage, our destiny. So let me just understand this. I don't have ancestors who did any of those things. Was I not gifted this? Is this not mine? Is America not mine? What about the children of slaves? Is America not theirs? Their ancestors did not do all those things. They struggled. Oh God, did they struggle. They suffered. But are they us? Do they count as us? When does it start? When does the sacrifice start for future generations and make you an American? How many generations do you have to go back? He continues, if America is everything and everyone, then it is nothing and no one at all. But we know that's not true. America is not for everything and everyone. America is for those who embrace and accept the principles that made this country. Not the bloodline that made it. Not the skin color that made it. But the principles that made it. The ideas, that proposition, which he likes to poo-poo. America is unique in that. Now, in every other nation, you could say, yeah, my forefathers and almost all the people in this country, in that country, yeah, they all have roots going backwards, right? France, they're French people, hundreds of years ago. Germans have German roots, hundreds of years in the America is not that. It's not a creation of a tribal society. He says America is not a universal nation. It is something distinctive, unique, and real. Yes, by its ideas. Unlike any other place or people in history of mankind. America, and here we get to the, here we get to it, right? Who are the Americans? America was settled, founded, and built by the most adventurous and most courageous and most curious and innovative and risk-taking sons and daughters of the West. Yeah, that's who founded it, and that's who still comes here. Not of the West, now it comes from all over the world. Those kind of people come here. And if you want to exclude the people who come here for the welfare, stop giving the welfare. Our country is, in this important sense, the most essential Western nation. For our settler ancestors, the American frontier stretched out to the horizon of infinite possibilities. It was here, on this continent, that the West realized its destiny. I wouldn't use the word destiny, but yes, all of that is true. This, my friends, is why every great feat of the modern world bore American fingerprints. And now he goes through all the American inventors. It was an American who created the Morse telegraph and later the telephone, collapsing vast distances in a single instance. It was an American who mapped the human genome. It was an American who did this, an American who did that. And yet all of them were children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren of immigrants. He didn't mention Steve Jobs, a child of a Muslim Arab who changed America, changed our world. But here's the crux of it, and this is where it all adds up. Who are we? Who are Americans? Who is us that we got this gift? Here it is. We Americans are the sons and daughters of the Christian pilgrims that poured out of Europe's shores to baptize a new world in their ancient faith. Our ancestors were driven here by destiny, possessed by urgent and fiery conviction, by burning belief, devoted to their cause and their God. They were Christian. They were Europeans. This is who we are. This is what America belongs to. He says, America belongs to us, and only us. If we disappear, then American too will cease to exist. Who's us? Who's we? White Christians? European Christians? That's who he's talking about. That's who he's talking about. It's about European Christians, and particularly from Northern Europe. I don't know what he feels about Southern Europeans. This is a senator in the U.S. Senate. Again, mixing in stuff that you would agree and write and agree on. Right? And mixing it in with racist, nationalist, blood and soil ideology, which is about as un-American as it gets. The National Conservatives are un-American. They reject America. They reject what America really is about. They reject the essence of the American ideal, the American philosophy, the American identity, in the name of European style, tribalism, nationalism, mixed in with a good amount of American racism. These are dangerous people. These are the people we're handing the future of this country to. Dangerous people. All right. Let's see. Before we get on to the next topic, I see you guys need some encouragement on the super chat level thing. So let's do 20 super chats. Yesterday, I know I challenged you and you guys struggled with it. 45 minutes. We got 20 super chats. And let's see if we can get that done. All right. There, I am putting up the challenge. Hopefully you guys will come through. We do have the bigger challenge, which is $250 for the first hour. We're pretty behind on reaching that. So please consider supporting the show, making this possible. It's 11 p.m. Here in Europe when I do this show, and I couldn't do it without support from you guys. So support the show. Simple. Trade. Value for value. All right. RFK today was in front of the Senate trying to defend his actions as the head of the Health and Human Services Department, including the chaos that is happening right now at the CDC. The firing, what's that? The firing of the head of the CDC, the resignation of a number of senior people at the CDC, and just a lot of unhappiness at the Health and Human Services more broadly. There seems to be a lot of dissent, a lot of disagreement, and a lot of people upset at RFK's actions. RFK kept on emphasizing during his testimony today in the Senate that America is the sickest country on earth, that there was more diseases that in the country today than ever before, that obviously health officials had failed, and that he was shaking things up in order to make Americans healthy. But this is just untrue and stupid. Yes, Americans are unhealthy. Many Americans are unhealthy because of the habits that Americans have adopted. Some of that is probably a consequence of certain things that the federal government has done in terms of health, food pyramids that emphasize the wrong types of food, recommendations about what we should and shouldn't eat, which don't reflect, actual science or the latest science, but reflect lobbying by special interest groups. But indeed, you could argue and should argue, that government shouldn't have a position about any of these things. The health of Americans is a problem for individual Americans to deal with and to solve. It should be between them and their doctor. RFK replacing the current ideology around health with his own ideology around health, which is more bogus than the current one. The current one is bad. His is worse. Is not going to make us healthier. It's not going to change anything. And his anti-science, pro-conspiracy theory nonsense, as reflected by some of the people he's appointed and by his own views on vaccines and other stuff, is destructive to American health. He's not making us healthier. Now, it's true that he can sit up there and says, you've been a senator for 25 years as Americans have gotten sicker and you've done nothing. But is it really the job of government to prevent us from getting sicker? Or is it the job of us as individuals? Yes, stop giving us bad advice. But government should just step away from health. But what RFK is doing is appointing quacks to make medical decisions, not just health decisions, medical decisions, about what vaccines and potentially what drugs we can and cannot use in the future. He's antagonistic to the drug companies that are lifesavers for so many Americans and have the potential, if I'm reading the science right, we have the potential not only to cure diseases but extend human life significantly in the future. He is going to be a barrier to that, not a help to that. He is a unmitigated evil disaster inflicted on the American people by Donald Trump. He was caught today, Cassidy, who is an unbelievable wimp and really should lose his election. Cassidy, who was the deciding vote in favor of RFK, and a lot of people thought that he would vote against him because Cassidy is a doctor. You would think he would know how bad RFK is. Anyway, today he tried to catch RFK at a contradiction. That was his big thing, right? He asked RFK in a way of sucking up to Donald Trump, which is what Cassidy's main objection in life right now is, in order to get reelected. He asks RFK, RFK, does RFK think that Donald Trump should get the a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed that developed the COVID vaccines? And RFK, of course, had to say yes, because RFK is one of the tribe now that sucks up to Donald Trump, and he can't say no to a Nobel Prize to Donald Trump. So then Cassidy said, okay, but just a minute ago, you said the vaccine killed more people than COVID did. How do you match that up? And RFK just lied. He said, I never said that. And Cassidy said, but you did just a minute ago. We'll look in the record. It really is, crazy, stupid, and nutty. But this is who our Health and Human Services and the Republicans do not have the balls, although they seemed a little critical of him today, a little. But given how critical they should be of him, it was very, very mild. But it's a travesty that this guy is running anything. Never mind an important part of the American government, given how involved the American government is in medicine. It is a travesty that this quack is running Health and Human Services. Also today in the Senate, Miran, who is Donald Trump's what is the exact term? He is. Whoops, no, that's the wrong article. Sorry. He is Trump's nominee for the Fed governor role, but he's also chair of the Council for Economic Advisors. And Miran is going to take a leave of absence from the chair of economic advisors, of the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, in order to fill this role at the Fed that was vacated by the resignation of a Fed board member that was unexpected. And he will fill that role until it expires on January 31, 2026. It's not a very long period of time. But so Miran said he can have both positions. One, he's going to take a leave of absence to, but keep it, and then leave the Fed and go back to the White House. And he was asked today, well, how can you be independent of the White House while you're at the Fed? Aren't you just going to do the president's bidding? What about Fed independence? And Miran said, no. I'm a complete believer in Fed independence, and I will not be influenced by anything Donald Trump or the White House says, even though I'm going to go back to a job in the White House after the fact. He's also written in the past about how the Fed shouldn't be as independent as or he's written in the past how the Fed should be independent, and one of the ways to guarantee it's independent is to stop the rotating door between the White House and the Fed. And he is the embodiment of the rotating door between the Fed and the White House. And Republicans are so cowardly, so afraid of Trump, that they are probably going to vote for him and undermine the Fed's independence by doing so without any doubts. But I just don't see anybody being willing to stand up against him, against Trump, against anything Trump wants, pretty much anything Trump wants, literally. All right, let's see. Part of this reevaluation of vaccines has now led the state of Florida to basically, oops, where am I? Yeah, the state of Florida, the Florida Attorney General has announced a plan to end all state vaccine mandates, including for children to attend schools. So it would be the first state where there was no mandate, vaccination mandate to attend a school. You can come to school even if you're not vaccinated against any of these diseases. Now, I don't believe there should be a government mandate on vaccines if we had private schools. If parents could pull the child from a particular school and send him to another school, let each school decide whether they want to have a vaccine mandate or not. This is, and even with public schools you could do that. Why not drop the state mandate and allow each school to decide whether to have a vaccine mandate or not? And then allow parents to move their kid to any school, public or private, right, that they wish. And one of the criteria maybe would be parents want to send their kids to a school that all the kids are vaccinated or they don't. I mean, this should be 100% a parent decision. But again, this is denying the parent that decision. It's going from one extreme to another. It's like during COVID, right? I was against government mask or vaccine mandates. But private businesses could say, you can't come into this business if you wear a mask or if you don't wear a mask. That's completely within the right of that business. Florida, under DeSantis, passed a law that said, I remember it was cruises. Cruise ships could not require passengers to be vaccinated. Why not? It's private business. Why can't it make its own rules? Why is the state dictating to it? So it would be good. It would be good if schools could make those decisions for themselves and parents could then choose. I doubt that that is going to be the outcome in Florida. Just like they could mandate, businesses could mandate during COVID vaccines or masks. That was viewed as somehow violating people's whatever. Schools are not going to be able to do this. I mean, this is so anti-science. And at the end of the day, this isn't motivated by parent rights. This isn't motivated by individual rights. This is 100% motivated by an anti-science, anti-vaccine mentality. And this is what's spreading around the country. Talk about anti-science and, in this case, anti-woman mentality. The state of Texas is becoming uglier and uglier. I mean, literally uglier and uglier. Texas is about, Governor Abbott is about to sign legislation into law that will allow anyone to sue doctors and distributors of abortion pills involved in sending the drugs into the state. So this allows private citizens to sue companies and individuals who manufacture and distribute abortion pills to patients in Texas. Winning plaintiffs would get a minimum of $100,000 in damages. I mean, the idea of banning the abortion pill is so disgusting. It's so primitive. It's so anti-science. It's so anti-women. It's so anti-life. It's indeed anti-men. It's anti-human. Now, since you can't get the abortion pill inside some of these states, What they're trying to do is criminalize mailing it in. But it's not enough that the state is going to watch over how people are behaving. Now we're going to have our neighbors check our mail, and with a huge financial incentive, to see if we might have gotten an envelope from an abortion clinic outside Texas, or doctor outside of Texas who might have mailed that pill, and they get to sue and they get to collect a reward. I mean, abortion should be legal 100%, completely, unequivocally. Okay, so they say viability. All right, you could somehow make an argument for banning abortion after viability. Oh no, then they say it's not viability, it's heartbeat. As soon as we can hear heartbeat, they're a human being, they're alive. Okay, but it's not. It's conception. It's this mystical, anti-scientific view of what makes a human being. The very splitting of a cell at conception, that's a human being already. A clump of cells is a human being. Why? Because it could become a human being one day. Because an abortion pill is only effective in the first few weeks after conception, when it's clearly not a human being, where it's a clump of cells. And yet, they will do anything to penalize, criminalize, to beat down anybody who stands for abortion rights, and anybody who dares stand up to the state, find ways around the state's laws, and actually get their hands on an abortion pill. Now, as abortions have declined in places like Texas, or disappeared really in Texas, more and more people are reverting to using the pill. And this is unacceptable to these, human being haters. They don't believe in the right to life, because they're anti-life. Their fundamental ideology is anti-life. So yes, you're going to have now people snitching. You're going to have private citizens of bounty hunters. I mean, Texas is really becoming a state that is just going after young women and making it inhospitable for young women to live in. And or anybody who wants to have sex. I mean, you ask me, how can anybody live in a blue state? Well, if you want to have sex, you should live in a blue state. At least they won't criminalize you if you take an abortion pill after getting pregnant accidentally from sex. That's how you get pregnant, from sex. It's pretty crazy and disturbing. Florida and Texas, nutty. I mean, just becoming nutty places. All right, a couple of quick stories finally. As I predicted, the Trump administration has filed with the Supreme Court to overturn the appellate court's decision upholding the lower court's decision that the tariffs, these particular tariffs, the tariffs that are done under the Economic Emergency Act, to reverse that decision. To uphold his global tariffs and the power that he has to impose them. They're asking the court to put the case on a highly expedited schedule, with arguments in early November. That's soon. Of course, the financial stakes are huge. A defeat for Trump would mean cutting the effective tariff rate of something like 16.3% to less than half of that. Now, it wouldn't change the tariffs on things like aluminum and steel that have been deemed national security issues and were imposed by a different, according to a different law. But now the levies stay in place until the Supreme Court rules, because that's how the appellate court determined, right? They didn't want to have the economic shock if the Supreme Court ultimately backed Trump. So this is going to the Supreme Court. Another one that's going to the Supreme Court is a federal appeals court blocked Trump's from using the wartime law, another emergency wartime law, to deport a group of Venezuelan immigrants. This is again putting the whole immigration, deportation, the use of this law to deport immigrants again at with a question mark. So an appellate court now has blocked this, and it is heading for the Supreme Court. The White House has argued that Venezuela is attempting a predatory incursion, i.e. war, against the United States, and therefore this constitutes an act of war, and therefore it can deport them as foreign agents and terrorists. The Court of Appeals of the Fifth Circuit ruled Tuesday that the Aliens Enemies Act couldn't be applied in the case of migrants because it found no evidence. This is the Fifth Circuit Court. No evidence of an invasion or predatory incursion by a foreign power. I can't remember if the Fifth is a conservative court. I think it is. Oh, by the way, yesterday I confused the Eighth Circuit Court with the Ninth Circuit Court. The Ninth, which governs California and the West, is the court that's going to take up this issue of the National Guard deploying troops in LA, and they are a very, very liberal court. The Eighth is actually a very conservative court. So I got those two confused. I apologize. It's the Ninth. Anyway, a lot of cases, three-quarters of Trump's agenda is heading to the Supreme Court. A big chunk, all the major issues, all the let's go after the others is heading to the Supreme Court. And it's going to be truly fascinating to see what the Supreme Court does. All right, everybody, that is the news for September 4th, Thursday, September 4th. Thank you for listening. Let's see. We're still trailing on the challenge, on the Super Chat challenge. We got 7 out of 20. So we're looking for 13 more Super Chats or stickers. You can do a sticker. It counts stickers. You can do a sticker to get to our number. We're also, looking for $20 questions, which would be great to get us to our dollar challenge for the first hour. So I appreciate it if you guys stepped in. We picked up a few more. We've got a significant amount of people watching, so hopefully you can join us in supporting the show, trading with me. You get a value, pay a value in return. That's what a trade is all about, by doing a sticker or by doing a super chat. You can also support the show on Patreon, patreon.com. Just put your Yaron Brook show in there, and you can become a monthly supporter of the Yaron Brook show. An announcement. I have this announcement. All right. So I've been invited to come and speak at the second annual Rand's Day Objectivist Conference. This is the conference held in Florida. That was held in Florida last year. It's going to be held again in Florida this year. It's going to be there on the weekend of January 30th to February 2nd. It's going to be in Fort Myers, Florida. Naples, Fort Myers, Florida. Now, if you register before October 15th, last year I had a good time. I was sick the first couple of days, but then I recovered and had a good time. It was a good conference. If you register before October 15th, the conference fee is $377. After that date, it's $437, so $60 more. So if you want to get the discount, it's not a Yaron Brook show discount. It's just a discount. If you register before October 15th, $377. You can go and do that now. Ransday.com. Is that right? I've got a weird formulation of a website here. Let me just check it out and make sure it's the right website. Yeah, okay, it's ransdaycon.thebvh.com. Ransdaycon, one word, dot thebvh, thebvh.com. And you can register there. And you can see the program. Program's all lined up. All right, so lecturers will include Harry Binswanger, me, Alan Canna, Shoshana Milgram, Gene Maroney, Peter Schwartz, Don Watkins. There'll also be a special Q&A with Binswanger, Schwartz, and myself on life in a laissez-faire society. So this will be fun. I'm looking forward to this Q&A, and doing it with Harry and Peter is going to be a lot of fun. Because what does a laissez-faire society look like? What does life look like? How does it function? I think that's just going to be a lot of fun, and really interesting. So come on over, ransdaycon, one word, .thebvh.com, and register for the conference. I am doing a talk on free trade, on the free trade debate and its history in American history, and what the consequences of this are. It'll be a good talk. Let's see. Peter's talking about how to write clearly. Harry's talking about how to study Ayn Rand. That's just an example. I'll give you other examples when we talk about this later. So go register. October 15th. Price goes up. October 15th. All right, let's turn to your questions, super chat questions. We've got a few, but most of them like $2 to $5, $2 to $10. I need some. We really need some $20 questions here. So $20 questions are calling you. We also need another 11 stickers of questions in the next 18 minutes. In the next 18 minutes. Let's reach the goal, guys. Let's reach the number. We got 113 people watching. Doesn't take much to get there. Thank you. Dave Dean just did a $50 sticker, which counts. It counted. It raised the number. So we only need 10 more super chat or stickers. Thank you, Dave, for the $50. That brings us a little closer to our 1 hour goal. We've already crossed the 1 hour. We're in our second hour. We should be way ahead. Way ahead. All right. Let's do Harper Campbell, who asked a $50 question. Thank you, Harper. Ron DeSantis just put out a vote forward for early next year to make Florida the first state to abolish all property taxes. I know you have reservations about him, but if he precedes Trump, I think that would be a positive corrective step for the GOP. Yeah, I mean, I don't like Ron DeSantis. I think Ron DeSantis is very dangerous and potentially very, very bad. But he's better than Trump, although he's smarter than Trump, which makes him dangerous. He does seem to have, I'll give him this, he does seem to have a pro-capitalist, pro-capitalist is too strong, pro-markets perspective. He does seem to be more like a traditional conservative in his support of markets. Cutting property taxes is great. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't know, property taxes are pretty high in Florida, so I don't know what this does to government spending and government revenue and therefore government spending. I hope this doesn't create a deficit in Florida that ultimately has to be made up with other taxes. But it's great to wipe out a whole form of taxation. Is fantastic. It's great news. Good for Ron DeSantis. But I can't say that I'm excited about DeSantis or super positive about him. He also is doing the thing about the vaccines, and without, I think, the countermeasure of giving schools the option of having their own mandates at the school level, which is where it should be. Now we'll see. Maybe there's information about that that'll come out where it's much more similar to mine. They've also made lab meat illegal. Just bizarre stuff like that. I don't know what his position is, for example, on free trade. I don't know what his position is on industrial planning. This is a good move. So this is great, and I commend anybody who wipes out a whole category of taxes. So good for Florida, and I hope it passes. I hope it actually happens. I don't think he can win the presidency, though. Let's just be clear. I do not think Ron DeSantis can win the presidency. He showed that this last time. He just has no charisma, no presence, nothing, no presence on stage. He can't say anything that lightens people up, that gets people excited. It's just not there. It's not in him. I think, maybe we'll find out that he has skills I'm not familiar with. All right, Wes, thank you for the sticker, $50 from Wes. Gail, thank you for your sticker. Really appreciate that. We're only 8 short now of this. RDF says, come on, people, let's meet the challenge. Yeah, come on, guys, meet the challenge. It's just it's not that big of a deal. Normative Android, thank you for the sticker. Just a few, like $2.99 stickers will get us there. Let's see, what other stickers do we have? I just want to get everybody, All right, not that many stickers. That's the problem. We could use a few more, 8 more stickers. All right, Jennifer, one of Jefferson's complaints against George III listed in the Declaration was, quote, cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. Yes. Everything had to, it was the Jones Act. Everything had to go through England. The colonies couldn't trade directly with foreign countries. Everything had to be on American ships, on British ships, had to go through the homeland of the UK. But, let's not listen to the founding fathers. Let's not listen to them. Let's just, as long as we share their bloodline, we're okay. It's not their ideas that matter, it's their genes. Andrew, found it interesting that Rand told someone who was writing an essay on egalitarianism that if he didn't say that it was hatred of man for the man of ability, that it was a betrayal. Conveys a moral fervor and passion for ideas and passion for ability. Rand was the opposite of egalitarian. Rand loved, valued, honored, praised, raised up, made heroes of the men of ability. Men who weren't born with ability, the men who used ability, that went out and did stuff in the world, that changed the world, that made the world. They're the characters that fell out of shrug. They're the people she admires. She has a huge amount of respect for them. And they're the ones who are crushed by the egalitarians. They're the ones who the egalitarians don't care about. And of course, they're also the ones who move civilization forward. And yet, this people who are going to be moved forward by the men of ability are the ones who denounce them in the name of egalitarianism. I mean, you know how I always say, I don't believe in trickle-down economics. It's not a trickle, it's a waterfall, it's a flood. The benefits that the common man receives from the geniuses is just unbelievable. you know, it's the geniuses who shaped the modern world, who shaped all the benefits that we get in the modern world. And for them to then turn around and denounce them by supporting egalitarians is one of the great injustices in the world. So yes, Ayn Rand is going to, you know, this is one of her biggest issues, right? You can see that in Atlas. Ayamikat says, call them woke, right? It really gets under their skin. Yeah, although it's, I don't know, I don't particularly like the term. But yeah, I guess getting them under their skin is a value in and of itself. Ayamikat also adds, Gaza needs to go, basically. Equal to reality, thank you for the sticker, basically. Ian, thank you. Mary, thank you. All for my mic. I apologize again for the mic drop that we had there. Andrew says, another interesting thing about Rand was that she frequently thought of and identified the motives behind ideas and actions without resorting to psychologizing. Do you think that's difficult to do, and any thought on how? Yeah, I think it's very difficult to do. I think it's hugely difficult to do, and it's why you don't get other objectivist thinkers doing it quite to the extent that she does. I think she brings a perspective on it that I don't have and others don't have, and that is of a novelist who's thought a lot about human psychology and human motivation. You can't write a novel like Atlas Shrugged without understanding human motivation and really thinking about it and in a sense researching in terms of observing the world out there from that perspective, from the perspective of what motivates people to hold the ideas and to take the actions that they take. And Ayn Rand, great novelist that she was of course a master of exactly that, of seeing the motivation, of understanding motivation. You can't do characterization in literature unless you do motivation. And that means understanding psychology, the psychology of people that drives them. And she was a genius at that. And it's what, in many of her nonfiction essays, it's what gives life to the essays, is the fact that she identifies the psychological cause, the motivating factor that drives people to hold the ideas that they do and to do the things that they do. Raymond, how do you objectively assign a weight to your gut feeling? I find my gut to be pretty reliable, but it's by definition not consciously reasoned. I think the way to look at this is your gut, which is really what I forget the name of the psychologist called fast thinking. Your gut is really just fast thinking. It's giving you an emotional, very fast integrated response to the information you're receiving. If the issue at hand, if the topic you're evaluating in a sense, is a topic you're an expert in, you really thought about a lot in the past, and you're really good at consciously. So you know a huge amount about it. You would trust your gut more over a topic like that than something that's completely new to you. That's something that you haven't studied, that you don't know that much about. So there's a good example, I think, that in one of Gladwell's books, where he says, an expert on art forgery, and some of these art forgers are really, really good. So they'll forge a Rembrandt or they'll forge a Vermeer or something, and it looks really like the original. And an expert art forgery can look at a painting and his gut will tell him. And he's almost always right. But that's because he's practiced. It's your subconscious feeding you because you know so much and you're practiced in it. It's like you don't think about, well, you guys wouldn't know about this, right? When you drive a car, right? In the old days, we used to shift gears. manually with a clutch. And the amazing thing is you never thought about, oh, I should go from second to third now. You just, when the time came, you went from second to third. And that's, in a sense, your gut. Your subconscious is telling you, now's the time, do it. But when you're driving for the first X number of thousands of hours, you actually think it. Oh, it's revving up. I need to go to, I need to shift gears. I need to shift gears. And then you shift gears. But the repetition, the practice, over and over and over and over and over again, you don't need the conscious mind to actually guide what you're doing. You can rely on your subconscious. All that is, all the gut thing is, can you rely on your subconscious? Now, are there issues on which you can rely on your subconscious? Yeah. Some very unimportant stuff. You don't have time to think it through. And stuff that you're an expert in. And even then, you want to back it up with conscious thought, with consciously guided thought. But when we talk about things becoming automatized, this is what we're talking about. And you can automatize pretty sophisticated things. But too many people use their gut for everything, including stuff they know nothing about. And that is irrational, and that is wrong. You have to, your subconscious has to be guided at some point, and fed with the right ideas, the right conclusions, the right context. And that requires work. All right, we've got 4 minutes. 4 minutes to get 3 super chats or stickers. 4 minutes to get 3. Let's do it. Let's make this goal. You can do 99 cents. 99 cents works. So 3 stickers or 3 questions in the next 3 minutes and 35 seconds. That's the goal. Go for it, guys. Raymond, hopefully that provided you with an answer. Hopper Campbell, even if you're healthy, is it possible to be consistently happy if you're not wealthy? Yes. And what does it mean to be wealthy? How much wealth does one need to be happy? Yes, I don't know what you mean by wealthy. Wealth is not required for happiness. It makes happiness, in a sense, easier, and it increases your happiness. And certainly you need some level of wealth if you're really struggling to put food on the table and you're on the verge of potential starvation. Then yeah, it is possible that the lack of wealth is preventing you from being happy. So some minimal requirement is there, but I don't know what wealthy is. Is it $1 million, $5 million, $10 million? Don't know. I think we just achieved our goal. We'll see if YouTube recognizes that fact. No, it's not recognizing every single one of your stickers. I don't know why. The 99 cents ones, I don't think it recognized, even though in the past, like further up, it did recognize 99 cents ones. So I don't know. So keep them coming. We've got 2 minutes. Keep them coming. Maybe ask a question or put a few letters underneath it just to make it more officially super chatty. And Jacob just did $1.99. Let's see if it captured that. It didn't capture that either. Suddenly, it's not accepting stickers. All right, those 2 did it. So Urban Porcupine and Robert Nasir got us through the challenge. All right, I'm not going to do any more of these challenges because it's not working right. And I will complain to YouTube and tell them we have a real problem here, so that they can fix it and we can actually have real numbers. These numbers are fraudulent. Fraudulent, I tell you. Yeah, Paul actually made his 2020, but we needed a bunch others to get there. So thank you, Esoteric Dichotomy. Thank you, Lucinda. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, RDF. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Dean, again. Thank you, Jonathan Honing, who showed up late. Thank you to you guys. I know some of you did even more than one sticker. Doubly thank you for that. Andrew, you know how with Trump everything is horrible, a disgrace, a hellhole, etc., unless he's responsible for it. I'm highlighting his negativity and malevolence. Do you think that's correlated with skepticism, cynicism? I don't know. I mean, it's correlated. I don't think that's the case with Trump. I mean, partially, Trump understands that that's how you motivate people. You motivate them through fear and hate, and that is what his base wants. So I think partially it's that. Is Trump super negative in his everyday life? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think he could have done what he did as an entrepreneur if he'd been like this as applied to his entrepreneurship. I think it's more of it's his narcissism, wanting to take credit for everything, wanting everything to be his responsibility if it's good, mixed in with understanding his audience and understanding how to manipulate them. I think it's that combination. Bonnie, why do some grow up trying to think in principles in spite of their education and others don't? I have no idea. Because they chose to. Because they chose to focus. They chose to engage their mind. They chose to put it at full throttle, not so-so. And there's no explanation for why they choose it. But this is the majority of human beings. It's an achievement to think in principles. It's a real achievement, particularly given our educational system. So you should take pride in yourself in achieving that. I don't have. I think it's just that. It requires effort. It requires focus. It requires constant focus. I mean, when you're focusing, it requires real engagement. It requires being committed to revving that mind up, a commitment to reality and to commitment to honesty. Liam, when you take responsibility for yourself, regardless of whatever else is going on, that is power. That is when the fun begins. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that take responsibility for yourself. If you understand what it means to take responsibility for yourself, not in a superficial kind of conservative way, but in the sense of my mind, my life, I will shape it. I will make it. Yes. Michael, does the left have more respect for human rights than the right? Respect for due process and humane treatment of detainees and prisoners in that sense? I mean, who on the left, right? And who on the right? Some people on the left, have no respect for that. You can see that in countries dominated by leftist politics. Brazil, Venezuela. So it depends who. The center left, center right tends to have respect for these things to some extent. The far left, far right don't. The far left in America does not have respect for any of those things. They have respect for Palestinian due process, but not for Israeli due process. Palestinian humane treatment, not Israeli humane treatment. So, no, I don't think either extremes, if you will, or either, I don't think collectivism taken to the extreme, consistently has any respect for human rights, individual rights, or anything like that. Excuse me 1 second. Oh shit, I missed it. All right, I try to kill the mosquito. I've been in this room for 2 days now with this mosquito. And if I think he's biting me constantly. And I almost got him there. Wait a minute, I might have another shot at it. Hold on. Got him. And a bunch of blood came off on the wall, which suggests that he's already bitten me, and that's my blood on the wall. Michael. Michael. On yesterday's show, you said Ayn Rand didn't convince that many people, but maybe she convinced the most important people. What did you mean by that? Well, she convinced the people who are most important in the sense that they're the ones who could grasp her ideas and do something with them. I mean, look, yeah, I mean, it's not really clear, right? She convinced who she convinced. But to be convinced by Ayn Rand, you have to already have a certain degree of honesty. You have to have a certain degree of thinking, as Bonnie asked about. You have to be able to conceive of principles and be able to think in principles. And those are the people you want to convince. There's a lot of wishy-washy people that might have been somewhat convinced, and then who knows what they would have done with it. They might be people who treated Ayn Rand as a religion and taking it as religion, and that would have done damage. So there might have been people who jumped on the bandwagon of Ayn Rand, and there have been people who've jumped on the bandwagon, but there might have been more who do more harm than good to the cause of objectivism. But I take your point as me not being very precise and clear about my statement there. Andrew, when Tom Snyder asked Rand what she meant by selfishness, she referenced self-esteem and that one respects one's mind. What does respecting one's mind entail? Or entails respecting one's mind? What does it entail? Sorry. It entails taking your own judgment seriously. It entails the knowledge that you are capable of judgment, that you are capable of knowing the world around you, that you're capable of understanding, that you're capable of taking care of your own survival, of taking care of producing to live and building and making stuff. So I think that's what it means to take your mind, to respect your mind. It's to know that you can know and that you can solve problems, and then engaging in that activity on an ongoing basis and trusting in your own mind, in your own thinking. I mean, think about other people who constantly apologize for their opinions, apologize for, I could never understand that, I could never do that, I could never figure that out, I could constantly putting themselves down, their mind down. Respect your mind. Know what it's capable of. Know what it's not, what its limitations are. Right? I'm not going to try to understand Einstein. I did once, I can't get it. Okay, I can live with that. But I also know what I am capable of, and you got to respect that capability that you have. Justin, when a crony politician is accused of acting in self-interest against the interest of the people, what's a better term than self-interest? Well, it depends on the specific case. It could be that he is acting based on short-term whim, considerations of short-term and whim, that he is just against, that he's acting against his own long-term interest, that he's acting in a destructive way, that he's acting kind of, I've said for a long time that we lack a concept that can include all those things that people perceive as self-interested but are not. And, self-destructive, but that's not clear enough. Anyway, there's a lot of, I think that a new concept to capture that would be helpful. Unpackage the package deal and create a new concept for all the stuff that doesn't belong. Liam, when evaluating selfishness, are people not so much put up by the idea of you pursuing your values and achieving your happiness, but a perceived ugliness of not caring about others? I mean, I think that's where where their mind goes to first, right? Because I think that's what they're trained to. They're trained altruistically. But then if you explain to them, for example, no, I mean, caring about some others is completely self-interested. It's completely selfish. It doesn't seem to make them feel better about it. So at the end, it is about them feeling uncomfortable about pursuing their own values unsacrificially, and even if you could convince them that you would still treat other people with respect and still treat other people as traders, that doesn't convince them. So there's something else going on. RDF says, count me on YouTube. Thank you, RDF. Fender Hopper asked about Biden, but how many clones of Trump could you take in a fight? They come in one at a time every minute. Maximum is 10. Once they can't get back up, they disappear. I don't know. I don't know that I could take any of them. Trump is a big guy. I mean, I'm not particularly skilled at fighting. He could probably just fall on me and knock me down. I have no idea. Jacob, thanks for the support. Could a hospital now say, want to deliver your baby at hospital ABC, you must get these specific vaccines for our NICU ward protection? I think so. If not, they should be able to. I think they can, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I just don't know. I know they should be able to. Jacob, if the S&P 500 booms 4K points after the tariffs are shut down, would Trump be considered tariffs, or is he too deep into mercantilism to think otherwise? I don't think he'll reconsider. But look, I don't think the S&P 500 will boom 4,000 points. I don't think it'll go up at all. I think it's likely to go down. I think the S&P 500 is kind of priced in tariffs and relieved that the uncertainty, in a sense, is gone. And now the Supreme Court ruling against tariffs would cause more uncertainty. And stocks could very well go down. And Trump could view that as a message of, see, I told you tariffs were good. This is the problem of relying on markets to interpreting markets as signals of what's good and what's bad. Markets don't do that. They're not good at that. Paul says, are you planning to become a genocide scholar? No, I'm not. I did cover that story yesterday about how anybody could sign up at the website and become a genocide scholar and then make pronouncements in the name of genocidal scholars. But no, I have no intention of signing up. Peter, NatCons, if America's an idea of capitalism, which everyone hates, then we don't get to be mindless nationalists like citizens in other countries. That's right. I mean, the American NatCons have a particular problem, and that is that they don't have a tribe affiliation that's easy to define. They have to really squirm and figure it out without alienating half of all Americans who don't fit their standard. Right? The real Americans are Scots. The Scots invented America, and therefore only Scots are the real Americans. And, they want to say stuff like that. They can't. Hector, yesterday you said Italy is for history, not the future. So which countries embody the future, and are they the ones we should visit now? I mean, here's the thing, that for a long time I said Asia. Asia was younger, it was more dynamic, it was growing, it was turning capitalist, it was turning free, it was where the excitement was. But Asia's turned away from that. Birth rates have plummeted, they don't have children anymore. China has gone off the deep end. It's become much more statist, so you don't get the excitement, the energy, the growth that you used to. Asia's, I mean, one of the things that embodied the future when you went to China and Hong Kong and places like that was the architecture. Architecture was bold and beautiful and striving and future-oriented versus kind of dull and boring, mostly in the West. But that's probably going away, so I don't know. Maybe Argentina? I don't know where you go for the future. It's very difficult. It's not a good time in the world right now. It looked a lot better 15 years ago. It really did. And then Leonard Peikoff wrote dim hypothesis, and then the dim hypothesis decided to become true. Hey, Yaron, if someone loves to donate because they like gifting others and seeing happy reactions, how to keep it distinct from altruism? Well, you have to really, only you can do it, and you have to be able to introspect your values. And why do you like seeing happy reactions in people maybe you don't know, have never met, know nothing about? What is it about that? How important is that to you relative to other values? And then when you analyze that, does it justify the level of importance you're giving it from a rational, human perspective? So it requires a lot of introspection to understand your true motivations. Urban Porcupine, thank you for giving me something interesting to listen to while I fix my car. Happy to do so, and thank you for the support. Robert says, for the Super Chat Challenge, name one fun film, not necessarily a top favorite, just plain fun. Oh, any movie by the Marx Brothers. I love the Marx Brothers. Night at the Opera by the Marx Brothers. I know it's old, people resent old, but Marx Brothers movies, I really, really enjoy them. They were a lot of fun. And there's a lot of silliness that goes on, but I think it's kind of clever silliness, if that's possible. Lucinda says, hope YouTube recognizes this. I think it did. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all the support. I will be back tomorrow at about the same time. I think 4:30 East Coast time. It's now past midnight over here. So expect the same time tomorrow. I teach a class until 4. So the show will either start at 4:30 or at 5. Either 4:30 or 5. But there will be a show tomorrow. No show on Saturday, probably a show on Sunday. So on Saturday, I'm going to visit Mirko, who is listening to the show and who shows up on the chat once in a while. All right, everybody, have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I will see you